All right, welcome everybody. So excited to have everybody that's either on live or will be listening to this recording at some point in the future, because this is definitely going to be a resource that I know so many of us are going to go back to multiple times, because it's addressing a topic that I know many of us have either already come across or will, regarding how to help other people in our communities and organizations utilize the Tower Garden. And I'm really excited because we're going to get to hear from Colleen Perfect, who, in my opinion, is like one of the gurus when it comes to this topic and has tons of experience personally in helping so many different organizations get towers started and utilize them successfully. And so I'll let her share a little bit about her story, first of all, and then go into sharing a little bit more of the how-tos with us as well. So welcome everybody. And Colleen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Leah. And just a quick snapshot of my story. So 5 years ago, when I was first introduced to Juice Plus, to the Tower Garden is what stood out to me the most. And I was teaching at the time, and I wanted it in my home and I wanted it in my school. And that's what happened pretty quickly. And what that has led to over the years is being able to use the experience that I had in growing in the schools where I was teaching to help other schools in our area grow. So it's really cool. Now today I get to serve teachers over 20, 30 different Tower Gardens in our region, and not just teachers, but right now working in the youth home and in libraries and with adults with special needs. And so there have been all these different opportunities that have popped up, and I was first inspired by Stephen Ritz with the Green Bronx Machine. So for those of you watching this that are interested in learning about Tower Garden and how Tower Gardens can be used in schools and in communities, I would have you start there by looking up Green Bronx Machine and the work of Stephen Ritz. But so tonight, what I have prepared for you is 6 different topics of things that, again, I'm assuming anyone who's watching this has an interest in getting Tower Gardens in schools. And so I'm going to talk about some things that I've learned along the way that will be really useful if it's your first go at it. And so I'll start first with benefits for schools, because that's a really important place to start. And if you don't work in a school, those things may not be obvious. But a couple things that administrators like to know about and teachers like to hear about is the fact that it's very different from a typical school garden, because the garden is right there in the learning space. So in a traditional setting where the Tower Garden can be at school and kids are in school, then the kids are constantly watching the plants grow from the very first week. They see the growth. And so it's an automatic win for the kids. And it also allows an opportunity for the kids to attach their name to it. So they have like their own plant, and that's very impactful for kids. So that's very different from an outdoor traditional schoolyard garden. Another big key benefit is the amount of maintenance that it requires to care for a Tower Garden in a classroom versus an outdoor garden space. A lot of times with outdoor garden spaces, it requires either a lot of staff members or it falls all on a couple of staff members. It's very tiresome and it often crumbles. At least that's what I've seen in the Midwest where we live, where we don't have a long growing season. So those are benefits to really let administrators know about that and help them understand the difference between a tool that you can use throughout the entire school year to grow versus being having to fit in a certain growing cycle based on the weather outside. So those are huge things to think about. Also, the Tower Garden can be on wheels, or one of the models actually comes with wheels. So towers can easily be wheeled from classroom to classroom. And I've seen schools do that and do that really well, impacting over 100 kids, over 150, over 200 kids sometimes with a single tower or 2 towers that are moved from classroom to classroom, giving each classroom a shorter growing experience. And that can sometimes be more inviting for teachers that feel overwhelmed to have to take on something for the whole school year. So that's something to think about. Those are just some benefits that I had written down. The next topic I want to talk about is school ordering. The school ordering process can be tricky if you've never helped a school place a Tower Garden order. it looks very different compared to when you are helping like a homeowner or someone that's buying it for themselves. So there is a special a school Tower Garden order form, and you can locate that in your virtual office. So if you go into your virtual office and you click on customer resources, then click on forms and resources, under the Tower Garden order form section, there's one order form titled Tower Garden School Order Form. That is the form that I've always used. And so again, I'm just explaining my experiences, what I've learned along the way. There may be another way to do this, but this is what I always do. And so I use that Tower Garden School Order Form. The actual order form is one page, but it's a 4-page packet that explains all the things that they didn't have this order form 5 years ago when I was first placing Tower Garden orders for schools. And it's super helpful 4-page packet because it goes through things like, the fact that the school will need to provide a state issued tax exempt certificate if they're, to be able to show tax exempt. So that has to be sent in with the order form. And a copy of the purchase order is super helpful because if you have that right off the bat, it just expedites the whole process. And so again, it walks you through that. And the way I do that is I just, make sure that when I'm going to send in a school Tower Garden order, I make sure I have a copy of that state issued tax exempt form, that I have a copy of the purchase order, and then I make a copy of the school order form. And right at the bottom left corner, there's a little email address there that says schools@towergarden.com. So I actually just take a picture with my phone. So I'll print out the tax exempt certificate from the school. I'll print out, or sometimes I have a PDF of it and I'll just attach it in the email. But my point is that as simple as this is, I just fill it out with, a pen, and then I take a picture of it with my phone and attach it in an email with those other documents. And I can place that school Tower Garden order very quickly. It's not like it's difficult. It's just different. It's not, to my knowledge, it's not right there in the virtual office. So that's something that I wanted to bring to your attention. And then the next topic I have is talking about the investment. It's really important when you're talking to administrators or whoever's handling grant funds, whatever it may be, whether you're working with a school or another youth program or library, they need to know what's the upfront cost, and then what is this going to cost from year to year to keep that Tower Garden up and running. That's really important for their grant writing, and just important for them for the longevity of it, right? Because anytime I ever place a Tower Garden in a program that's impacting kids, I want it to be long lasting, and I want that support to be in place so that the kids can continue to thrive with the program, because that's what it is. For me, it's all about the kids. And so you have to help the adults so that the kids can get the big win. And so there's some updates that happened in 2020. So with the school Tower Garden order form, there is now this little message down the bottom right that says, if your purchase is greater than $1,000, you receive 98 Rockwool cubes and 30 net pots at no charge. So that is really important to look at and think about when you're helping a school place their order. You want to get that first order over $1,000 so they can get that free 98 Rockwool cubes and the free 30 net pots. That's huge. That's big time savings, and they're going to need it. Those are things that are going to be reordered down the road. And so the way I look at it now with the two models, if the school decides the Tower Garden home, which again, I'm still letting schools decide. Most schools are keeping them inside all the time, but some schools may want to go with the Tower Garden Flex versus the Tower Garden home. So Tower Garden home is $970, and then I just add in a $60 Tower Garden mineral blend purchase to bump it up to $1,030 so that they get those free 98 Rockwool cubes and free 30 net pots, which is really great. And then if they go with the Tower Garden Flex model, that's $620. And then the lights are $300. And then I add the dolly in because that's really helpful in schools to have a dolly. That's really important. So that's $90. And then that puts them at $1,010. So again, get them that win up front of the free Rockwool and free net pots. And again, going back to talking about that investment, what I did in the beginning, what I've used as I go from school to school, is really schools will hear that. The way it's happened for me is started with my own school, then neighboring schools were like, hey, what are you doing? We want to do that. And then other schools are like, hey, what are they doing? We want to do that. And so it's been more a matter of like starting slow, doing it well, make sure that succeeds so that people in the community nearby see that and want that for their own school. But first time, so one-time purchases, the things I just talked about, that's like actually ordering the equipment up front. But then again, year-to-year cost, I say every school year, what I've seen is that the way I teach how to add and when to add nutrients and when to add pH, schools will likely need to order new, like of the large mineral blends, and then new pH adjusters, and then Rockwell Cube, and they have to order seeds. And I make sure they put gallons of vinegar on their budget for cleaning purposes. And again, that way they have like all of those expenditures locked in, they have grant money so that it doesn't just flop and get tucked away in a closet or something like that, which is what we absolutely don't want to happen. One more side note of that on that part about the pH adjusters. In our area where we live, every single tower garden I've helped with has never had to use the base. So it's never had to use the pH raise, only the pH lower. So I make sure on the school order form that actually write in there when they reorder, I teach these teachers how to do this, to write in there that they only want the pH minus if that's the only one they're using, or else they're going to get a kit with both. And then they're just going to have these extra pH adjusters that they don't use. Okay, so that's just another heads up tip of the day, tip of the night. Okay, moving on to recommended plants to grow. This is so important. I'm so passionate about this topic because I want them to maximize their harvest days, right? So that they can have maximum benefits of what they're growing. I also don't want them to have high expectations for plants that do not grow well indoors. And so on my own experiences, what I have found and what I suggest are sticking to things like lettuce, kale, bok choy, Swiss chard, basil, different herbs, especially if they're pairing up with the school cafeteria members. I mean, the cafeteria staff, they love the herbs and they love that, right? Because they can put that in their dishes. Also, again, that's kind of the list. So what I found that works super well is growing lettuce. And one of my favorite lettuce types to grow is butter crunch lettuce, because I know for a fact I can go from seed to a full harvest in 6 weeks. And then a few weeks later, I get another harvest. And a few weeks later, I often get a third harvest. And so, you're absolutely going to get 2 salad parties. Those are my favorite things to do with kids, 2 salad parties. And that's just awesome, because then if you look at all the weeks throughout the school year, you're going to get way more versus some of the other plants that you could try to grow indoors. You're not going to have harvest right away. It's not going to be quick. If you grow plants that need pollinators or other things, I stay away from that. That's my experiences. Also, the kids love salad parties, and who knew? I mean, it's like, that does not ever get old for me. Okay. I'm like, yes, salad parties. Okay, so what we do in those salad parties is just like you would do in a salad in a jar, but you kind of prep it for the kids, and the schools can even put that in their budget, is bring in, like, the teachers will learn to do this themselves, but bring in fresh carrots and peppers and tomatoes. I even had my students go grocery shopping for me, my high school students. This is way cool. They could do it as part of the program that they were in. So the teachers, it doesn't even have to always fall on the teachers. But carrots, tomatoes, peppers, yellow peppers is a really fun one to start out with for like kindergarten, first grade. They love that. Celery, cucumber, those sorts of things. They set them out, let the kids choose. Let them put whatever they want on their plate. No pressure, right? You don't have to eat your plant, but then watch the magic unfold as they watch their baby seeds grow into a full plant, and they cannot wait to eat it. So, and then they decide to try the other things because they see some of their friends doing the same thing, and that's really fun. And so I just keep it simple like that. In classrooms, I love salad parties. I also like to use kale for smoothies, but I rarely am going to fill a whole tower garden. I'm looking over here at one of my tower gardens, but I'm rarely going to fill a whole tower garden with kale for smoothies, because what I found is that we only need a little bit because the kids are like, okay, like we'll try a little bit, but we don't need like the whole plant, whereas they'll eat a whole lettuce per kid, or a whole, yeah, little lettuce plant per kid. So a little bit of kale goes a long way for a smoothie party for a classroom. But if you're doing it for a school cafeteria, then grow the whole thing in kale and have a heyday. It's so fun. My favorite smoothie recipes includes fresh cut pineapple or frozen pineapple chunks, um, coconut milk, a banana, and kale. So I can, you can connect with me, or I can share a more exact recipe. But my students came up with that. It comes out kind of looking like the Grinch color, and it's super, super delicious. I mean, I have rarely had people turn their nose up at it unless they just really don't like coconut or banana or something like that. But definitely not the kale, which is exciting. They get excited about that. Bok choy is great in stir fries for school cafeterias. Basil is really great for obviously pasta dishes, and then oregano, thyme, all those things. You can connect with the cafeteria. At the end of the day, you want to teach these teachers or youth program leaders to be purposeful about the plants that they plant. Okay, so what we also want to see for longevity of a program is you don't want a teacher that's overwhelmed with all this growth and no plan, and they don't know what to do with it, and they're like, oh, I have to take care of this thing. So if you can help them be intentional and let their kids or their students be a part of that, of deciding what they plant in the beginning and why they're planting it and what they're going to do with the harvest, then they'll be much more well equipped to have a positive experience, because they'll have a plan for all this growth, because it's going to grow. It's definitely going to grow. Okay. The second to last topic is about curriculum. So one thing I will point out right off the bat is if you go to towergarden.com or your specific towergarden.com website and click on school gardens, it's at the top. And then you just scroll down. So there's like a list of all these things that it talks about for school gardens. And if you scroll all the way down, number 6 on that list is called, or it says something about free access to lesson plans, and it's a live link. So you click on that link, and then it brings you to the lesson plans that the Juice Plus company has on their website, free to use for anyone and everyone. Everyone can access that. And there's like a few sample lessons per grade. You'll have to just check it out, look around on it, but that's a great place to start. It's definitely going to help teachers have some sort of an idea. Also, the Green Bronx Machine does have a curriculum that I haven't had personal experience with, but Stephen Ritz has videos now that talk more about those lessons. And then there's more curriculum coming out. I actually just partnered with a university in our area, University of Cincinnati, that I worked with over the winter months to write a STEM curriculum for after school programs utilizing Tower Garden. It hasn't been able to get up and running. It was supposed to happen this spring, but that's okay. But just know that I have that available, and I'd be happy to share it with you. So connect with me, and yeah, right now we're just gifting it to schools, which I'm excited about because I want more schools to have access to it. And so in that STEM curriculum, I go through like science and math practices for middle school students, but really pushing them up. I have experience in high school science teaching, and my background is in biological sciences. So I kind of really push these middle school kids in this STEM curriculum to master important math and science skills that they'll need down the road, and how to interpret results and how to generate graphs and read graphs and that kind of stuff. So that is something to think about and look out for. My last topic is just really hitting home support for schools. So it is so different. I can't even begin to explain how different it is to place a Tower Garden in an organization or a school where there are multiple staff members, in like a work environment, okay, where staff members are taking care of it. That is so different from having a Tower Garden in someone's home. Because just think about it. When someone orders a Tower Garden for their own home, then that's their property. They're going to take care of it. They intentionally ordered it. They want it. That's theirs. And that was like their intentional decision, right? In a school, sometimes it looks different. Sometimes it gets shifted to a teacher that didn't have a plan for it. Sometimes a teacher that was using it before switches to another school, or is on maternity leave, or there's lots of different things. There's lots of like moving pieces that you have to provide that support for the schools, and just know that you can walk alongside them and continue to help them. And what's exciting, what I really want to share with you guys as well is, so right now I work for our nearby county extension office, which I was hired specifically to help support all these towers and all these schools in our area. And one of the things that my job, Purdue University, has been having me do at the moment because of this, because of the pandemic, and because I'm totally have to work at home right now, is I have started creating training videos. So typically I was doing live trainings at schools to help their staff with the tower gardens. And I have broken those down into videos and uploaded them on YouTube free for anyone to watch. And so these are specifically designed for schools or libraries or communities, that people, anything in a youth setting and youth programs where people are wanting to use tower gardens, is really designed to help them get started and help them thrive over time. So yeah, that's pretty cool. You can go to YouTube and just search my name. So just Colleen Perfect, not super YouTube savvy yet. This was my first go around. So it just says Colleen Perfect, but that way you can find it. And those are all videos tailored for teachers and youth program directors, like I said. And I'm going to continue to upload some over this month. And then over the summer, I plan to also highlight some of the STEM lessons that I wrote in that curriculum with the University of Cincinnati. So that would be also something to kind of help give teachers an idea that want to utilize STEM, how to do that with towers, because that's my background, is science and education. And so I'm also just super passionate about tower gardens. I hope this is helpful. This is all that I have prepared for this short little go around. And if you guys want to ask questions, you can, or we can just be done.
I'm Stephanie. Hi, how are you?
Hey,
I
good.
didn't have a question. I just wanted to thank you for your time. It was very, very informative for such a short period. So I just wanted to thank you for your time. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Colleen, one question I have is, there are a few teachers that I've been trying to work with for garden grants. Do you know, I mean, I know you can just do a quick Google search and look for garden grants, but like, are there any just key things that you feel like are important for first timers who are working on that to keep in mind?
That's a good question. I have left that to the school or community organizations, because funding looks so different from school to school. How they approach the funding looks a lot different. So I have not done that grant writing for any of the towers that I've helped place into schools. Instead, I've helped bring the information to them about how much money they need to have, and learn about what the benefits would be to have a tower in their school. And then when they have the money, they basically get back to me, and then I help them place the order. However, I do have some grant writing experience outside of towers, and we could connect more on that, Lauren, if that's something that you feel really called to do, to want to do that grant writing for the schools. There's just some tips and tricks of grant writing. Basically, it just comes down to being super specific about what you include in the grant, and having really great follow-up on every single dollar that is spent to whatever organization would award the funds. Let's see. I just saw one of my teammates is on here. She writes a lot of grants, a lot of grants. Trish, I don't know if she can unmute herself and say anything, but she may be just dying to say something, I don't know, about grant writing.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I would say start with your community foundations or county foundations. That's been a great resource for me. And really anyone that's sponsoring school gardens, it's easier to do Google searches for school gardens. And those funders have been really receptive, because you can point out how a typical school garden is happening during the summer when the kids are out, but a tower garden is inside all year, all school year, and it's a better fit for teaching. So I've had some good success in that way as well.
Awesome.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Trish. That's super helpful. Well, I don't know if Leah is here with us right now, or
I'm here.
I think we can go ahead and, okay.
Yeah, if you guys don't have any other questions, we can definitely wrap up. This was really so helpful, Colleen. Very clear, and I feel like you really hit on a lot of the core points that I have come to my mind as questions, and then you went over and beyond and told me things that I never would have thought to have, even like how to purchase and all those sorts of things, considering what to grow and the rotation of the tower to different classrooms. I love that. Makes a lot of sense. So thank you so much for not just gifting us all of your expertise, but also just all the time you've spent. It just like oozes out of you, your passion for utilizing towers and helping people, helping kids, helping organizations and schools. And I think that's just such a beautiful thing. And you've also inspired other people to want to do that as well. And so I just really appreciate what you're doing to touch like so many people beyond what probably you even realize, because you don't even know all the kids at all these schools that you've helped get tower gardens placed in, and how this is forming them and shaping them. And so I think that's just really inspiring, because it gives all of us also an opportunity to consider how that also could be the type of impact that we could have utilizing the tower as well. So I hope that you guys were encouraged like I was tonight. I feel like I've always been a little intimidated when it comes to thinking about the approaching and the care and the follow-up and all that might need to happen, mainly because it's just uncharted territory for me. And so this was really helpful, made me a lot more excited about feeling equipped. And I think that's a big part of it. So thank you guys for being on. Thanks, Colleen. And I will send the recording out for this, just in case you guys at some point need to go back and listen to some of these tips as well. So thanks so much. Have a great evening.
Okay, good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Colleen.
See you,
Awesome.
Benedict.
Everyone. Very
Bye.
informative. Thank you.